We are coming back from closed session with no reportable action at 7 p.m. We are on item F, the consent calendar. Anybody have any questions about minutes or bills? And I went through it, nothing really jumped out.
Do we have to pay them? Just kidding.
No, these have already been paid.
Oh,
I wish.
Yeah.
just kidding.
Everybody good?
Yeah, the only thing I would say on the bills is that there's a little over $1 million, 1.014955 that are kind of one-time annual upfront payments, things like P&L insurance, work comp insurance, the PERS, UAL required annual payments, MIRA, and the maintenance facility loan. So there's a reason why July is a lot higher.
Yeah, I noticed it was
over
really
$1 million of it is
right.
payments that cover us for the entire year.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out, because that was going to be my one question, seemed like a lot more this month.
Yeah, and there's 2 health bills, because we typically pay health the month before it's due, but just so we don't pay 13 in a year.
Okay.
We pay July right at the beginning of July, and then we pay August towards the end of July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'll move it.
Everybody's good then?
Yep.
All right.
I'll make a
Motion to approve.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so you had Bill to Saman to everyone?
You
Or
can
was
give
it
it
you?
to Tiffany.
No,
Tiffany
no,
and I
you
said it
have
at the
to.
same time. It's okay, Tiffany can take it.
Kathleen?
Kathleen?
I mean Kathleen. Wow, I
You
called
said
you
his name.
Tiffany.
Tiff.
I know.
Okay.
Thank
Public comment?
Who'd you give it to?
You know, that headache.
Public comment for items not on the
I'm
agenda.
not speaking.
We good?
tongues, so we should be.
All right. Nothing there. Item H, district matters. H1, Marin County Grand Jury Report, better service at lower cost, optimizing essential services for the future of Marin. This was an interesting report,
Yeah.
right?
Interesting.
The word for it?
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of this, we're already kind of either moving in that direction or already doing, but then a lot of it not.
I tend to agree with you on the recommendations side of things.
Yeah.
I thought that their findings were, I didn't wholly disagree with any of them personally. I certainly didn't wholly agree with any of
Right.
them, which is why I suggested looking at this as a partially disagree, because I think there's points on every finding that I didn't agree with. You're only allowed, as I put in this staff report, you are very limited on what your acceptable responses can be. You either agree or you disagree, and if you disagree wholly or you disagree partially, and
Right.
you give an explanation. So that's what I'm trying to do here. As we kind of went through this on the recommendation side, I certainly do agree, and as you can see, a lot of the suggested responses were, this has already been implemented,
Yeah.
with a brief explanation as to how. I certainly didn't agree, and I think the public sentiment of people who know, with their incredibly truncated timing,
Yeah.
by which they expected certain things to happen. I think as a district who's been going through something similar for a
Yeah.
very long time right now, to expect all of these things to happen and convene in such a time. And then on some of the recommendations where I put requires further analysis, that's because they wanted us to comment on a recommendation for action that the county should take.
Right.
This district and this board has no authority over what the county board of supervisors does. You can't say will be implemented because you have no idea. So that's really, it surprised me that they would have districts respond to those very specific ones. I thought that should have been strictly left for the county to respond to. But there has been some conversations with the county amongst special districts. They certainly got some level of feedback from special districts as a group in terms of, feedback to what's in this report, what kind of extended services maybe the county could help them with, and what kind of extended services they wouldn't be interested in. And again, we're in a kind of unique situation in that we used to do some of these things through the county and found it to be more efficient and more effective from a resource production and cost for us to bring these things in-house.
Right.
So we've done that on a lot of these things. So I tried to have the responses reflect that. I tried to just respond in a very objective manner. Shot them to you guys to review ahead of time. If there's any suggestions, any of these responses, now would be the time. Any wording changes or anything like that. Otherwise, I think that this is a perfectly adequate and acceptable response. If you approve it as is, I'm happy to sign it off and submit it.
I found it interesting that really all like the primary examples throughout were all about fire and like consolidating fire, and we're already obviously working extremely hard to do that.
And sanitary.
Right.
Which we don't.
And it's like,
Right.
yeah, I mean, and then they brought in the water
A
district.
little bit of water.
Right. And those are things that we're not part like,
Right.
we're already doing the fire thing that they're talking about.
Right.
And that, I mean, I feel like if the county wanted that to happen on a larger scale, then the county, like you're saying, the county needs to take a larger role in saying, hey, we have, apparently the Southern Marin Fire District was like the greatest thing. Why not a Northern Marin, and let the county kind of do that?
Well, and what the report doesn't touch on too much is these are independent special districts. The county's authority over these districts is fairly limited as well. The county can't come in and mandate that districts start doing these things.
Right.
Do they have, hey chief, do they have some level of oversight over districts? Yes. To that level, not even close.
Right, right. Well, you know, I started thinking about like all the nuance in all of the special districts. Hello, sir.
Hello
How you
there.
doing?
Good.
About all the nuance when you start to consider the different, you know, parts of Marin, and how hard it would be for the county to effectively manage that. I mean, like,
For sure.
I
100%.
I'm thinking like our medians,
Right.
right? Which we can't get them to really come out and do anything about.
Right, well, and
Like,
even
you know-
in other areas like HR. HR is a legal process in a lot of ways. You think of HR as this big umbrella, but you also think of HR as policy, procedures, guidelines, you know, for employees. Well, the county can't manage 20 different sets of policies, procedures, you know, I mean,
Right.
that part makes no sense.
Right.
Some of the benefit, we actually participate with the county in one level of employee benefit, that's dental. And we tack on with their plan, but that's it on that. Accounting, we've already done that, and we turned and walked away from that, and it's been a much better setup
Yeah.
ever since we have. Their accounting system isn't really built for these smaller agencies, and it just takes away a lot of our ability to act in an efficient, autonomous manner.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions, comments, suggestions? No? Side of the table? No?
That was
straightforward.
Yes.
Yeah, I was some of this.
Anybody from our vast amount of public out there have any questions, comments, suggestions? All right.
I motion to approve, our response to Marin County Manager
Okay.
As presented?
as presented.
Okay.
Second.
All right. So we've got a Simon and a Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. You good? All right. Item H2, District Manager Report.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things here. Been a lot going on. We talked about it last month briefly, so I'm giving you a quick update on the Oaks Senior Living Center. Still in process of trying to establish connection with Tim Best, who was the design engineer who did this. Actually have reached out to somebody at the county parks who is currently working with Tim on a project. Tim is basically quasi-retired, but sounds like he's interested in potentially helping with this, and that John Campbell is reaching out to him for us, who has a relationship.
Right.
So more to come on that. I'm hoping he will still be willing to just update that one little piece for us, that cost estimate for the original trail estimate. But if he can't, the other contacts in John as well at the county have informed that they have other vendors who have. I'd rather use the one who created the
Right,
original.
of course.
But if it drags on too long, then we'll move on.
Okay.
Just a quick little note, typically in this month is when I I try to have year-end pre-audit financial statements done, to be very transparent about it. I wasn't confident that the numbers had been thoroughly vetted enough, didn't look that thorough enough. I've just not had the time capacity to really kind of go through this. There's been some delays on the county and kind of closing out some of their stuff. So this will get presented at the September meeting. Again, it's all pre-audit, subject to change. But as I looked at the numbers, I wasn't confident enough in them and didn't have enough time to really dig into some of my questions. So those will come back to the table next month. I will say, they look fine. They look good. There's nothing in there where I'm like, wow, how did we lose $1 million? Nothing like that happened. If I'm going to put a financial statement in writing, I want to feel good about each number that's on it. So I just didn't have that. I didn't have that confidence level on it.
Sure. We'll blame it on the grand jury.
Part of it. And then just a quick update on the discussions with Santa Fe regarding kind of fire services and what comes next. I have met with city staff at Santa Fe a couple times, multiple times in the past month or so. Discussions are continuing. We're now looking at obviously back into what we've called kind of phase 2, which would be a potential staffing agreement for Santa Fe fire personnel to staff. This would involve our current personnel going into Santa Fe, as well as phase 3, in which the CSD would legally dissolve our responsibility to provide fire protection through a more regional approach. We have been exploring both of those. We needed to do some data diving and data mining for phase 2. We've elicited a conversation with LAFCO to make sure that as we approach looking at a study for phase 3, we're checking all the boxes that LAFCO would want to see checked. Had a couple of questions for them that they are circling back with their legal counsel, as well as their network of other LAFCOs across the state. And so they'll get back to us. But all the conversations have been very positive. They still remain very, very engaged in the process. The city does. I feel good about it, and we're trying to move it along as quick as we can.
Okay. And just to be clear, all of our firefighters would absolutely get hired by Santa Fe in that phase 2?
That would be the intention. I can't answer that as an absolute right now because we're not there, but obviously that would be the intention.
Okay. Right. All right. Just don't want anybody to get hung out to dry.
Sure.
Anybody have any questions or comments on Eric's report? All right. Public comment on the district manager report? Okay. Well, then we're going to go to item I, fire department matters. Anybody have any questions about the minutes from the fire commission meeting? Nope. Is that's who? It's Lisa. That's the.
Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa was not at that meeting.
Okay.
It was kind of a typical meeting. Nothing really that came out that I would say is something to bring back to you guys. They had some questions just on where we were, what we knew with some of the housing development. Chief Roman did attend this meeting in Chief Senate's absence. They had more of their questions were kind of along some of the potential impact of fire services with some of these. So Chief Roman addressed some of those, and then just kind of went through the agenda as presented along with the chief report.
Okay. All right. Any questions there? Public, any questions on that one? All right. Chief, welcome. It's great to see you.
Great to see you all too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Continuing along with what Eric was reporting on, the first item in my report, is a staffing update. Battalion Chief Kyle Hamilton has retired effective July 31st after 26 years with the department.
Congratulations.
And has moved to Spain.
Wow.
So
Wow.
he's off on
That's
his
awesome.
next phase of life.
I love that.
Captain Garrett Northern has been promoted to battalion chief and has filled the vacancy that Kyle created and is off to a good start.
Congratulations to him.
He had a major gas main break in downtown Santa Fe on his
Right.
first morning, which is par for the course.
Of course.
Isn't it? You know, we're bound to get something. So
Jump in.
yeah, he got both feet wet right out of the gate. The development update that Eric was referencing, the Marinwood Plaza project is really off to a quick start. They're already into the foundation phase of the project, so they're moving right along. Again, it's 125 affordable apartments in 4 3-story buildings located on both sides of the market. So they are moving quite quickly. Work also continues at the Legacy of Lucas Valley, the housing project on Aaron Drive, consisting of 28 dwellings. We're out there on a fairly regular basis doing fire sprinkler inspections, residential fire sprinkler inspections. Of the 28 lots, no work has been done on 13 of them. 2 are in the foundation stage. The remaining homes are complete or near completion, with 1 being occupied and others being used as models, I believe.
Okay.
Wait, one sold already?
So,
One's occupied?
One looks occupied at the far, kind of, as you turn the corner and start up the hill on the right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think multiple have actually sold, but only 1 has actually become occupied so far.
All right.
Yeah.
so,
And then the Oak Senior Living Community that Eric was talking about, which will be located at 200 Marinwood Avenue, consisting of 162 apartments, which breaks down to 77 independent living units, 61 assisted living units, and 24 memory care units. Has not moved forward out of the planning department phase yet. I checked in with the county planning department a few weeks ago, and they're currently awaiting the developer to fund the needed environmental reports.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what that says about the project. We know this started
Maybe
once
encouraged.
about, what, 5 or 6 years ago.
This thing's been
At
going
least,
on for a
yeah.
long, long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that these are the money makers. You know, this is what we're seeing in San Rafael.
Yeah.
These facilities, the economics works. Apartment buildings, mid-rise apartment buildings, the economics don't work. Retirement centers, they do. That's their money makers. So we're seeing more of these being built now. The chief might have spoken to this at the fire commission meeting last week, but these are heavy call generators for the fire department.
Right.
In fact, we're keeping stats as to the impact that these facilities have on the department. Some of these we respond to once a day, twice a day, sometimes even 3 times a day. Now, the business model for a lot of these retirement facilities is if a resident falls, staff is not to pick them up, they're to call the fire department. A lot of the incidents that we respond to are very minor in nature, but they want the patient transported. So it's a significant impact on fire service operations. And it's something that we're looking at in our strategic planning as we look to expand kind of the operational footprint of the department, including Marinwood, with
Right.
additional engine company staff and ambulances.
And is that part of, like I remember reading in the IJ, and I think you presented it at one point where you guys were doing also, there was gonna be like a BLS
Yes, that
component
has
to that?
launched.
Okay,
The BLS ambulance is launched, and it is, I would say, and Captain Brackett can either agree or correct me, I think it's a tremendous success. What it
Okay.
does is it relieves the burden of the ALS units and transports basically the BLS level patients,
okay,
keeping the ALS units, advanced life support paramedic units, available,
right,
so they're available more often at the time.
okay.
I think it's working out great. It's part-time at this point. We're hoping to expand it to, it's 5 days a week now. We're hoping to expand it to 7 days a week and also expand the number of hours per day
Okay,
that these employees, these EMTs are on duty.
sure.
They are highly motivated. They're excited. They're wearing, San Rafael Fire Department uniforms. They're driving a San Rafael Fire Department ambulance, and if you can imagine, as a young EMT, I can imagine this, although it was many, many, many years ago, how exciting this would be. I mean, you ought to just see them, they're just oozing with enthusiasm. And it's also a great view if we want to possibly utilize this BLS ambulance program as kind of a route to full-time fire service career.
That's what I was gonna ask, okay.
So there's so many benefits happening.
That's great.
there. So we're looking to increase the number of days and hours of the program. We're also looking at, and we hope to maybe next year have a 3rd ALS ambulance on the road, because what we're doing now is, when our 2 primary ALS ambulances are busy on calls, and another ALS incident occurs, which happens every day, by the way,
Sure.
every day. What we have to do is we have to put a reserve ALS ambulance in service and take an engine company out of service. So the engine company at Station 56 in Terra Linda and the engine company at Station 55 in Peacock are cross-staffed. So they have these reserve ambulances at those stations. So when the two primary units are committed to calls, and there's a third call, and sometimes a fourth call, these two ambulances are pressed into service with the engine company staff. So then the engines basically go out of service. You can see the risk exposure that that creates.
Sure.
For instance, we had a structure fire in the Peacock Gap area about 3 weeks ago. Fortunately, engine 55 was staffed and at the station,
Okay.
so there was a quick response. But if that engine company had been put on the ambulance and sent into the downtown area and then to the hospital, you can imagine the response time from, let's say, the Montecito station, Station
Sure.
52, out to the end of Peacock Gap, out by the golf course.
Okay.
So we want to eliminate that. That's
Yeah.
a very, that's a substandard staffing model, operational model. We want to eliminate these cross-staffed ambulances. We want to have engine companies full-time, especially with the proposed mid and high-rise buildings that Somerville is facing. We need to get rid of this staffing model and get the engine companies fully staffed with at least another ambulance. So that's the objective here. Those are the short-term, kind of the operational objectives,
Okay.
along with bringing Marinwood into
Right. A lot of moving parts.
exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting. Is it a problem? Yeah, it's a problem, but it's a good problem.
Right.
Because we're way ahead of it. We recognize the challenges. We recognize what needs to be done. We have a city manager now who, along with what I'm discussing here, is also very much on board with the Marinwood
Right.
merger.
Yeah. No, we're excited about
As
this.
soon as he stepped in, this
Yeah,
moved.
It changed.
Okay,
Yeah.
it changed. So it's a very exciting time right now.
That's great.
I'm not sure how long the city manager, who's in an interim position,
Right.
is going to remain in the position of acting city manager. But we want to take full advantage of the fact that he really supports
Right.
fire agency operations. Expanding is necessary, regionalization is necessary,
Right.
and just getting all these parts put together.
Yeah.
So it's a very exciting time.
Thank you for explaining that
A
so
lot of
well.
positive energy
Good.
right now in the fire department, being led by Chief Rahman. He just, he's got a real keen eye for what needs to happen operationally.
Okay. You seem to have a surplus of positive energy as well.
I do, it's exciting to be part of this.
Right.
That's been his entire career, by the way. All 50 plus years.
Right. I love it. I'm feeling it. I'm gonna go home and go for a run.
So, I have a question. In the legacy development.
Right.
There's 28 dwellings, or is it 28 homes that are being built and each one is 2 units?
No,
Or is it
there are,
14 homes?
there are 28 lots, of which there's a certain number of, I'll call them duplexes for lack of a better term. And I want to say there's,
I think it's 6.
okay, I was going to say 5 or 6.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, the rest are single-family dwellings.
Okay, so when you go to the retirement community and you look at those taxes, do they look at 162 units?
I don't know yet. It all is gonna depend on how they get zoned and classified.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Because a living unit needs to have certain aspects to it.
100%, but.
Like a hotel room's not a living unit per se, but if it, it needs to have a kitchen, a dwelling, it needs to have certain things that classify as a living.
Correct, but if we
quote-unquote.
have our engine going there 3 times a day
Right.
and they're paying, it's just hypothetical, certain amount of taxes that doesn't support 162 units, then they're taking our
Right.
engine.
Well, theirs would be based, for fire purposes, it's based off the square footage.
Correct,
Yeah,
but
which is a good
a
thing.
big, it is,
Yeah.
but a big mansion and 162, again, no disrespect, old people falling are 2 different things.
Yeah.
We have an impact fee that we recently started in
That's
San
what I was
Rafael.
gonna ask.
Yeah.
We can talk about if this project moves forward, that possibly we could implement in Marinwood as well.
Okay.
Yeah, do you remember when we watched the meeting when we were bringing all of the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 stuff up? That they talked about this, that certain facilities that have over X amount of calls per, I don't remember if it was week or month, they start getting billed after those, if they are frequent flyers.
Well,
Yeah,
and
but what happens if they don't pay?
as far as
Like,
impact fees,
I get it, but,
Yeah.
it's a little bit different. Centerville operates as a charter city,
yeah.
which actually gives them even a little bit more leeway in the impact fee world. Us as a special district are bound by different laws, regulations, things we can impose or not impose. A lot of this has actually been talked at a federal and a state level recently in terms of impact fees. More to come on that. I mean, to the chief's point, I don't expect them to start breaking ground tomorrow on that one.
Again, they need a bridge over a creek.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of infrastructure that goes along with this. It's not like it's at the corner of 4th and A
Right.
in San Rafael, you know,
Right.
to throw it up.
Lincoln
Right.
and
This is-
Mission.
There's a lot going on
The
there.
construction costs of this project are heightened,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah, so.
We're also
Okay.
looking at different community paramedicine approaches. We're starting to meet with the operators of these facilities to kind of educate and inform them as to the impacts they're creating
Right.
to the fire operation, trying to encourage them to take more proactive steps on their own without calling 911.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Trying.
Very optimistic, and we love
Love
it.
it.
So,
See, I'm
Thank you.
optimistic, but you have to try everything.
Yeah.
And then just lastly, there was, I think, a great community outreach effort at the Marinwood Community Center here on July 18th, hosted by Chief Hatfield, who's a EMS BC, and EMT Miller, which is one of our new BLS ambulance attendants, bringing the community together for hands-on instruction, hands-only CPR, and various first aid, life-saving skills, pediatric, adult CPR, and so forth, how to operate an AED, applying tourniquets, control bleeding, airway obstruction, things like that. So I heard it was a great turnout, and hopefully there'll be more of these.
Did they come away officially certified?
Pardon me?
Did they come away officially CPR certified?
I don't believe so, because what we do is we teach hands-only CPR,
Okay,
which doesn't give you a card.
okay.
You have to go through a more intensive class in order to get certified. And then just
try to
last,
keep you from bleeding out before the engine gets there.
yeah. And just, I don't want to put you on the spot, is there any like interesting call activity or training activity you want to report on? It's been
Right.
relatively quiet over the past 2 weeks. There's been an amazing amount of boat rescues. We've had to launch our fireboat multiple times in the past week. There seems to be more and more people getting into distress off of China Camp, whether in a sailboat or on a windsurfer or paddleboard. They head out thinking they're going to nice calm waters. You get about 100 feet offshore, and suddenly you're in the bay, and you're in the currents, and you're in the chop, and they get into trouble. And there's been, on average, about 2 to 3 responses a week.
Are they calling you on their paddleboard?
No, usually it's somebody on shore that sees them in distress.
I just was wondering how they.
So it's been interesting. There's been a real uptick in marine rescue activity lately.
Okay,
So,
interesting.
Yeah, nothing to really add on the calls wise, if I could just touch base on like what you said with the BLS ambulance. I mean, it's helping, they do a great job of shadowing calls. So
Okay.
they hear the dispatch and they just drive to it. And so it speeds up the process as well if we're gonna utilize them, that they're already there on scene.
Sure.
So it's not like they're coming from downtown and we're up Wilkes Valley. It depends on if they're busy or not, or what's going on, but it's a great resource.
Okay.
I'm guessing they probably get 2 to 3 transports a day, which then frees up the ALS ambulance. I know the ALS ambulance the other day, we ran a call at 11-ish at night. That was their 20th call of the day.
Wow.
So they're busy, so it definitely alleviates, some of
Okay.
that. Also with the cross-staffed ambulances and stuff, since pretty much January 15th of 25, every medical aid, we have 2 engines because of our staffing.
Right,
So that
right.
draws down, sometimes it's engine 5.7, medic 5.6, and that leaves nobody in the valley.
Yeah.
And so now we're getting ambulances and engines from Novato, from Central Marin. And so all these moving parts is due
Right.
to, the staffing and stuff that's going on. So
Right.
We were on duty that day for the Stop the Bleed, and I think originally they had 50 people sign up.
Wow.
So it was a big event. I know they had veg management or inspectors were here. I know DeWitt was here from the BLS ambulance. The three of us were here. I think they had another volunteer as well. So it was a great turnout and it was a great event to be a part of. And it was cool just to see everybody working together and
Right.
coming. You know, just it was good to have an event at Marinwood as well, right? You hear about a lot of these events and stuff. So it's good that we had that. And then we had the National Night Out, which we do over at Contempo every year.
Okay.
It's a great turnout for that.
Cool.
It's always a good thing to have. The kids love it. You know, we have hats and stickers and
Right.
all that stuff. So it's always a really good
awesome.
event that we do. And it'd be nice in the future if we've never had one in Marinwood. It'd be nice if we could somehow get that going and have the community come down here. And it's, like I said, just as nice having those community events
Right.
that are a little bit different besides the, you know, music in the park.
Right,
and
totally,
and stuff
totally.
like that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all
Okay.
good. So,
Thank you for that report. I appreciate that. All right.
Nice.
All good?
All good, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Yeah.
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Yeah,
Coming out.
for sure.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
So that was,
No?
It's really well.
You're doing your job too well for
Oh,
us
cool.
asking questions.
If there's anything else you would like in this report, or don't ever hesitate to ask any questions, or if you have any concerns, let me know.
All right, we will, but I think we're rolling right now. Thank you. All right. Moving on to item J, Park and Recreation Matters.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Oh, not me.
Oh, you're not?
Oh, okay.
No,
Thank you.
I'm
Thanks
sticking
so
around.
much.
It's
Okay.
nice out tonight. Anybody have any questions about PNR meeting?
I want to bring something up from the
Please,
PNR
please.
meeting. It was kind of an interesting meeting in that the Park and Rec Commission doesn't always have the full kind of, or neither of the commissions, to be honest with you, have the full kind of understanding of the district finances, the budget, everything else, because those are conversations and discussions and decisions typically made at a board level, which even though they get all of the stuff, don't always have the time to be able to pay attention to those. So we gave them kind of a high-level overview
Okay.
of district finances, as well as, you know, what kind of some of the established strategic financial priorities have been over the last several years, ever since we kind of started looking at this in a much more strategic manner. I don't want to speak for them. I hope that somebody might come and join this meeting to speak on behalf of them. But one of the things that they had asked was, you know, is it possible for the board to kind of relook at this based on where we currently stand? You know, one of their larger concerns was some of this, you know, kind of long-term capital needs. And more so than that, looking at this from the aspect of being able to set up, you know, kind of designated capital reserves with a capital expenditure plan to it as well. So I said we certainly would bring that to the attention of the board. That's nothing that's gonna have capacity to get on the agenda the next 2 to 3 meetings, so be patient with that. But I understood where they were kind of coming from. I think that it was an educational session for them to kind of be able to look at this, understand here's where the district was when these were established, here's where we kind of are now, directions that we are moving in, gains that have been made towards some of these, with those priorities obviously being kind of stabilizing the general fund, addressing long-term liabilities from a balance sheet perspective, creating formal reserves, and then addressing deferred capital needs. Not to mention staff, wages, everything else. It kind of goes in that and explain that when we have such limited resources and so many needs competing for these limited resources, it becomes a very precarious balancing act on how to properly kind of allocate and prioritize where the resources go. So I know it's something that we've talked about here for a long time, especially the need of just looking at kind of standalone, low risk, low yield investment accounts to be able to establish reserves with. Probably not the next meeting, maybe not October, but we'll be bringing this back to the board to be able to kind of look at what are some options where that lies.
Okay. Do they have a working document of capital expenditures that they would like us to undertake?
No, I wouldn't say that. A couple of meetings ago, we presented to them kind of a list of big
The same ones
Right.
that we already had.
big capital expenditures.
Okay.
You know, I'm not looking at the things that we slide into an annual operating budget.
Right, right.
I was trying to explain the difference between, you know, I don't think that they realize that between and across the district in the last 5 years, we've spent over $3 million in capital investments.
Right.
And just kind of laying that out, and showing them what those capital investments were, and that projects are moving. And some are very big, 7-figure projects, some are small, you know, 50,000 that we put into into our annual operating budget that just kind of come out of that fund for that year, and some we're financing or pulling from the general fund for whatever. I think it was more just knowing that, okay, are we in a position where we can actually start kind of having a capital expenditure plan?
Right.
Also certainly explained to them, you know, in terms of capital projects, we have a limited capacity by which to manage capital projects. Public works projects are a lot of work. Most places have public works professionals. We don't, you know, this is just one more thing that gets taken on by staff that as is coming up later on the agenda, we have a big capital project coming up here that we'll hopefully get that completed, be able to free up some capacity, understand how much, at the time of this meeting, we didn't know, but how much that project is gonna wind up costing us, what we might have left over, say, in Measure A funds,
Right.
which the district is always committed towards. The funds are 100% restricted to park and rec needs. That includes open space, but we've always used that to address capital needs and larger capital needs for the district on the park and the rec side. So I think they understood that part. Kathleen was an active participant in the conversation, so anything I'm missing, feel free.
Do you want me to do the recommendation now or at the items of next interest?
For what, to put it on the agenda? Do later, when we get to that part. We covered that this is something they were hoping to see
Correct.
Yeah.
kind of come up and,
Right.
and look at.
Correct, so I think you've touched on it very well. I think their biggest concern as a commission, which is, I think, one of our all concerns in public works, is how fast, I'm being very sarcastic, things move.
Right.
So I think they wanted to see more that the pool plaster was gonna be quicker and if we have to delay it for a season. So things like that, they're like, well, okay, well, what are we doing next? Where we are like, hold on, let's do this one first. And then we'll see what's on the list.
Right.
And re-categorize and reprioritize the list. And then address the list. Not, we have a list, we're gonna do the pool, and then what's next is the tennis courts. Like, it's
Yeah.
always, like to what Eric says, it's always moving. And that was, I think, a big eye-opener for them. It was like, and I'm speaking generally, that things move very, very slow. And I think definitely the bigger picture of the finances.
Yeah.
I encourage them to watch our meetings. I encourage them to look at,
Attend the meetings?
either attend tonight or look at the agenda and really see. I know our OPEB is very confusing and I know that all of that gets confusing, but to really look into it because it's big. It's not just, and then how much did you say, 3 million or something? Like they're a huge amount over all these years.
Well, just since 2020, we've spent probably a little over 3.2 million on capital expenditures.
Correct. The other thing that we addressed was prior, 10 years ago, we didn't have any reserves. We were going back. And so part of they looked at it was, well, that was 10 years ago, what's happened. And so then, and I will take credit for it, I pointed out, like, hold on, wait a minute. Eric came on board and then we didn't pull from the county anymore to get us through the year. And then we had COVID. So in theory, we've really only had 2 or 3 years to look at this as a big picture, because who knew what was gonna happen in COVID?
Yeah.
Like the whole world stopped, you know what I mean? So it was really not cutting down our 10 years to be like, wait, we're not 10 years out, we're really 4
Right.
years out, and we're trying to do.
Yeah, well,
And then my next recommendation will come later on.
and then also reminding them that we're a multi-function district, and operating fire is also very expensive and also something that has to be balanced in there and everything else, and explaining that there's actually a lot of unknown happening with the future of fire and what that might look like, and if it winds up getting dissolved, or if there's a contract, how that might change, what our revenue expenditure streams are, everything else. So it's hard to make these long-term commitments that I think they want to make when we're still swimming in a world of unknown right now, that we just have to be a little patient and wait as these situations resolve. So it was a good meeting for them, I think. I feel it was an engaging conversation. Again, I kind of take it for granted, admittedly so. I mean, I live, breathe, sleep, eat this stuff every single day, 24/7. So I think it was a good opportunity. I spent a lot of time putting together this report, but putting it together in a way that makes sense. You know, here's 10 plus years of, kind of financial history whittled down to 3.5 pages. Which is an easy task. So I think it was good, but I also understand their line of thinking. We still need to be forward-looking, thinking, everything else. You asked the question kind of in a priority. I think it's pretty unanimous that the priority Park and Rec capital project next is going to be rebuilding those tennis courts over on the middle school. That's because they're any money you spend on them outside of that is just throwing good money after bad, and shutting them down is a bad look.
Yeah.
But again, that's as of today.
Yeah,
Because
you're exactly
as
right.
we know, a hillslide
You're-
happens. And then the other thing that I would really like to bring it or share, was that Luke put this spreadsheet and analysis together of our fees, from the pool to childcare to rentals to everything. And because we sit way up here on the board, we're not part of it. And it was actually eye-opening for him too, there might be areas that fees can increase
Sure.
to bring more revenue.
Yep.
And so the commission would really like to be part of that too, and review and advise.
That's great.
Cause that's not, we're up,
Right.
so that's not us.
Okay.
So I think anything that, this commission feels like they really want to not only just dictate and say, fix the pool or do this, but really help and support and keep Marinwood.
That's awesome. We're lucky to have that.
And the difference between Marinwood and Terrellinda. Just kidding,
Right.
but yes, so.
Can I just ask on the e-bike piece?
We didn't really get to that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
To be
Okay.
honest, we started that conversation, the meeting was already almost
I was gonna say it was-
almost 2.5 hours
Yeah,
in.
you guys were.
So,
Yeah, it was a
that
lot.
basically, kind of got tabled,
Okay.
and requested to be placed on the next meeting agenda.
Cool.
Also kind of tasked the commission with a little bit of homework on it to, look into what some of the other places are. Obviously, we have some county resources.
Correct.
Some of them didn't fully know, class 1 versus class 2 versus class 3.
Okay.
This is a challenge that every landowning agency
For sure.
is trying to solve, including the county, including the city. It's, where.
Did John ever send that video?
No.
Okay, so the county is also reviewing this. So
Okay.
John, anything that becomes public, John
Yeah.
offered to send to
Okay.
Eric to share with the
Great.
commission, so then they don't have to research more than it's already
Right.
done.
Well, and a lot of times
But
we follow the
research that.
county's lead on this type of
Correct.
stuff too, just because
it's nice.
if you're up in our open space, you make that one extra
Crossover.
pedal, all of a sudden
Correct.
you're in county
Yeah,
lands.
yeah, for
And,
sure.
and so it's weird when you're out, there's not a sign that says, the rules have just changed,
Welcome to Marinwood.
Yeah, but it's
Welcome
just
back
something
to
that everybody's
Timberfell.
tackling, but not only looking at it from an open space perspective, but also looking at it from, in the park.
Yeah.
We've been having a lot of issues with that, especially on
Yeah.
these kind of class 2 and above. I mean, in my mind, a class 1 e-bike really isn't that much different than a regular bike.
Right.
It's 100% pedal assist, there's no throttle, they
Right.
cap it at a pretty low speed. When you start getting into class 2, but it's expanding beyond that. I mean, there's kids cruising around their little 4-wheel buggies and stuff that are
Yeah,
all electric vehicles. So we're just trying to figure out what makes sense. It might be very simple.
Okay.
It might need a little bit more nuance. But they understand that whatever kind of consensus decision they reach would be a recommendation that ultimately would come up to the board, because this would be a amendment to an existing ordinance.
Right. Okay.
So it's interesting. We've definitely been getting a little bit of chatter about the uptick of e-bikes and kids
Yeah.
kind of cruising around and cruising through. I mean, and technically in Marin right now, kids under the age of 16 aren't legally allowed to even ride a Class 2 e-bike.
Right.
Yeah, that's not stopping.
Well, and it's also similar, I hate to say this, but to our leash law in the park.
Right. So
Like, there's only so much we can do, and there's so much that the commission can advise and look into and whatever.
Enforcement
It's-
is always.
Well, and if we call
Yeah.
and people don't come to enforce it,
Well, or they're gone, but it like,
Yeah.
so, and they understand that too, so.
Yeah. Cool.
It was actually a really
That's
good
great.
engaging meeting.
Thank you for the lengthy Park and Rec meeting, Park and Rec people. All right. How about item J2? Marinwood Community Pool and Wading Pool replaster and renovation project. I'm guessing you may have a couple things to say about this.
I do. Good guess. So as you know, we put out a formal RFP on this on July 1st. It closed on July 30th. We did have 3 qualified contractors who expressed interest, all performed a site visit. Of those, 2 submitted sealed bids. One is Burkett's Pool Plastering, and they came in the lowest at $253,710. The other was Adams Pool Solutions, who came in at $330,688. One of the key differences in the bids was Burkett's is a 100% in-house company. They utilize 0 subcontractors. I mean, everything has to be prevailing wage. But Adams definitely utilizes some subcontractors on stuff, and that really kind of drove up their price, because the subs are adding in their own profit margins, and then Adams is adding their profit margin
On top of that,
on top of that. So I think that was a big difference. I think Burkett's it definitely came in a little bit lower than what I was anticipating. What I will say as a little plug for Burkett's, they are the company that actually replastered the pool the last time.
Okay.
We've probably gotten 6 to 7 years beyond useful life out of the job that they did on that. The useful life's typically around 10 to 12. That one's been out there for more like 16, 17. So it's served its time well. They did a very good job on it last time. As you're aware, this project has always been earmarked with Measure A funds. As of right now, the district has about $368,000 in Measure A funds in our holding. We are anticipating another $56,000 of that to be received later this fiscal year. With all of that, as I kind of did some round number math, taking into account their $253, we already know we've got somewhere between a $5,000 and $10,000 change that's going to need to happen. It's something that kind of came from EHS a little bit after we'd already pushed out, and this just has to do with the drains in the wading pool are too close and need to be moved. When they break apart the old plaster, there might be opportunity for that to be a very simple fix, but either way, for code, this is what needs to happen. All of that said and done, I think we should still have, somewhere definitely over 100, maybe even as much as 125,000 available in Measure A funds after the completion of this project, which sets up well towards looking at some of the next projects, namely the tennis courts, which is great. Again, this is a public works project. It is strictly guided by public contract code. I've listed you what your options are in terms of how you can move forward with option 3 being accepting the bid submitted by Burkett's Pool Plastering, authorize staff to execute contract with the bidder. As with anything that kind of comes through, I mean, we could put it re-out the bid by changing things, but that restarts the entire process with EHS. We utilized a group, Rogers, Stringer, and McClellan, engineers and consultants on making sure we had all our I's dotted. They did a really good job for us. We are ready to begin construction, ideally the week of October 12th. The contractor is responsible to pull the building permits based off of the approved plans that Environmental Services, Environmental Health is already stamped. It was noticed properly, sealed bids were received in accordance with the code. The low bidder is certainly qualified to perform this project. And as such, the staff recommendation is to accept the bid by Burkett's, authorize the district manager to engage Burkett's in executing a contract for the community pool, wading pool replaster, and also authorize for potential project construction contingency expenditures of 10% of the total contract amount. We don't spend it, hooray, but then it's there as we need it every time you get into this, especially when you're opening things up. Something is likely to rear its head, that unforeseen conditions that you would never know.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody have any questions?
When you mentioned that it came in a little bit lower than you anticipated, are you satisfied with?
100%.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, Burkett's is solid. I was pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
My guess was actually probably somewhere between 275 and 300.
All right.
That was our informal estimate. That's kind of where the engineer's head was at on some of this based on other projects. So for Burkett's to come in at 253, I thought was excellent. They did great work the last time they did it. And you could tell during the site visit that for a lot of the questions, some of the people were actually deferring to the rep from Burkett's on some of it. They're very well knowledge. Pool plastering is what they do. They do it on a very commercial scale. I have no doubt that they are highly qualified to do a very good job.
And they probably have notes on the pool from last time, so that's why they were.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that because the guy who came out and visited, he's like, I remember when we did this this year, and when we opened up that corner over there, we saw that the foundation needed a lot of work, and so we had to change that up and re-gunite that whole corner. You know, it's just like, you remember this from 16 years ago, this exact person, so we're like,
We kind of like this.
In my mind, if we wait, we're talking another
Another
2
season.
months
Yeah.
or 3 months.
you
and
can't, if
October's
you
going.
don't do it, you
I-
risk not being able to get this done
Exactly.
before we open up the pool.
Right.
The goal is starting that second week of October and to wrap this project before the rainy season really kicks in, especially considering they're calling for decent rain with El Nino and everything else. We have time limits put into the RFP. If they exceed those time limits, the district can impose daily fees to it.
Okay.
I think we said it was 8 weeks or 9 weeks.
I'm game for it then.
To get
I'll
this
motion to
project
approve accepting Burkett low bid.
Awesome.
All right, we got a Bill and a Siobhan.
Oh, wait, are we asking?
Oh, sorry, public. No. We're all good there. Thank you.
So do you want to try again? Should we
For
just-
what?
Bill
No, you don't.
and
I
Siobhan
made a
second.
motion.
All the,
And you're comfortable with the 10% contingency?
I am
Yeah,
comfortable with
yeah.
that, yeah.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
Awesome.
We'll
Because
follow
at the
up,
10%, that's where you thought it was gonna be at anyways, so.
Yeah, well, it's just 10% is pretty common
I
in
know.
projects of this size.
All right,
Hopefully we don't need a penny of it.
all right. Item J3, recreation and park maintenance.
Question.
You got a hand?
Oh, sorry.
Does that include the 125 that you're anticipating?
Having left over?
No.
I don't know, the 125 is what I think we will have remaining in Measure A funds when this
Okay.
project is done.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I read it wrong.
There you go.
Then move on to the,
All
the
right.
next thing that you have to.
J3, recreation and park maintenance activity report.
Yeah, again, Luke wasn't able to be here tonight. He had a childcare issue. The one thing he wanted to kind of point out, the two things, one was obviously just last weekend we had our summer brew fest. It was super well attended.
Yeah.
I know Forest Fire Barbecue ran out of food at the end, which is something that shocked him. So he was satisfied. Everybody who went, I believe, had a good time. It seemed like the vibe was really
It was great.
The music
Yeah,
was
it was
super
super
fun.
fun.
The weather was perfect. And then the other thing to bring up on the park side is the connecting walkway between Quietwood and Miller Creek Road had a severe lift in one of the areas caused by root intrusion. Our park guys were able to fix that. They actually took out a large chunk of of the asphalt, that, I believe that path maybe was an asphalt path. But at any rate, they were able to get in there, get really creative on actually kind of putting in a little bit of a curve and a little bit of a slope, so that way they didn't have to cut and shave the root. We had an arborist connection of ours go in and say, if you cut down or shave that root, you might seriously compromise that big oak tree that's producing the root.
Right.
But the whole thing looks really, really good. It was definitely a trip hazard, definitely just a hazard, and so they've smoothed that all out. It looks really nice. I was super impressed and super proud. Our park guys did all the work in-house.
That's great.
So yeah, it was tremendous.
Great. And just a correction, it's Pinewood,
What did I say?
Pinewood.
Oh yeah, sorry, Pinewood.
Is it the one next to Joe's house?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, Pinewood and Miller Creek, right where the most dangerous crosswalk in Marinwood is.
Right?
Mhm.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I walked right over underneath the tape.
Of course you did.
Of course you did, Bill.
And it looks like just connecting to that, there's gonna be sidewalk repair.
Yes, we had reached out to a company that we have used in the past. They came back with a lot higher costing than it used to be. We've actually gotten some other references of other vendors who also do this work. Some came from the school district, actually. David got me a couple names of people that they've used. So we are reaching out to them as well, knowing that they've done work for the school. It's the same prevailing wage requirements, everything else. So we are trying to follow up with some of them. The nice part is we have the other areas that we are responsible for mapped, because we've already gone through that process with the original vendor. So we just want to do a little price comparison on that. We did budget for this. We budgeted for it on a 2-year cycle, addressing the most priority needs during this year, and then addressing the lower priority needs next year.
Okay.
Because it was quite a bit that, again, that came in, definitely exceeded what we were expecting it to be for that level of work.
Right.
And looking at it and realizing that they're charging a lot more now to do this work, so we're shopping it.
Thank you for harmonizing with another local agency.
Yeah. Yeah,
Who is greatly assisted us
Sorry,
with
Dan?
personnel.
hey, what's the score?
That was a
We
press
are-
release.
We are paying attention to.
No, David came in, he's very good. You know, because I was actually talking to him about the tennis court.
Right, right.
And then at the same time, just said, hey, do you guys, who do you use for this type? So he sent us over.
Okay, let's
Excuse
do.
me.
Yeah, that's specifically do the shaving,
Right.
all that work.
Okay, cool. Anybody have any questions, comments, thoughts?
I will just add for the, what is it, Beer Fest, is that Beer Fest, is that what we,
Yeah.
Summer Brew Fest? Thanking all the staff and everyone who came out,
And the Los Williams
Everyone.
Lions,
correct,
they brought a lot of people out. to
everyone else, and it was a lot of fun, great day, and thank you for all their hard work. So,
It was.
Cool.
It was
Public?
nice. Good
No.
group of people. Young families there too.
Lot, yeah.
oh yeah,
It was almost like a little mini music in the park,
Yeah.
right? It was a lot of
Great
people.
band.
Starting to fill in on that one,
Yeah.
yeah, this is
Yeah,
awesome.
it was fun.
I showed up towards the
All right.
end of town.
Okay, do we have anybody have an item of interest or request for future agenda item?
I do,
Anybody?
been waiting to do it all night.
Anybody at all?
No, I didn't know one.
So, the other thing that came out of the PNR is we have a large amount of money that is designated for the board, the board funds. Did you just say, huh?
Yeah.
We have a board fund,
Like our.
designated board
yeah.
fund, we get 100,000 every year added to this account.
It's like our savings account that we
Yeah.
aside for
Okay.
Did you
emergencies.
forget? So, the PNR Commission would like to have the board discuss where each member feels like it should be applied, or what we should do with that fund, or what, as a board member, an individual, not as a board, and yes, recommendations can come from Eric, but this is more like, what do you want as a board member to see that money go to? a wish list type thing.
Okay,
And because we can't discuss amongst ourselves, I mean,
right.
so they asked me what I thought, and then they said, well, what do other board members think? I can't answer that because we can't discuss it unless it's an agenda item.
Okay,
So that's the purpose of it.
okay,
And then the second step would be to also come with recommendations of where it could go or where it could be used, whatever, based on our financial needs.
okay.
So it's a two-part, like and I'll just throw my idea out, like, but what I told them was, yes, I would love to see a bathroom built by the tennis courts.
Okay.
That's my wish or my goal as a board member. I don't know if it will financially happen. I don't know if this board will ever approve it.
It's a wish list specifically using these funds that we've set aside so far? Or just?
But your wish list.
No, I'm just
And
saying.
then that's one. And then number two is the recommendation from the board. Do we do an emergency fund? Do we do a capital gains or a capital project fund? Do we pay more on OPEB? Like, then the recommendation from the board will come. But the PNR is also looking at, where do we want it? Because we are also residents.
Right.
What do we want to
So
see?
it's kind of like a brainstorm and then,
Correct.
okay,
And so I would like the brainstorm part possibly September, and whenever we get the recommendation part, because I'm not trying to add more on Eric's plate than we already have, then October
Okay.
or November, whenever.
to follow.
Correct.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
Because I think if they watch our meeting, if we do it next month, then they can watch it and be ready for their October meeting.
Okay.
When do we meet in October? July? Yeah.
Can I ask, was any of the conversation with
September.
Oh, that's
with PNR, was there any idea of like reaching out to the community as well? I mean, not that we are four
Community,
individual
yeah.
voices and Lisa will be here, so five, but doing like a community, I don't know,
Wouldn't that
Well, the first question would
help
be,
to have people come to these meetings?
well, I think it also, and I'm gonna
And
use
to
this
the
word, and
Park and Rec
I know we're all
meetings.
gonna cringe, but what is your legacy? Sorry. Like, as a board member, what do you really wanna see within your community? I think that's also what they're looking for.
okay. Yeah, I've been on that
Because
board
that's-
before, like before I did this a bunch of years ago, and you get like, okay, what am I doing here? Right,
Correct.
it's like, I wanna do something fun and move this forward and have something,
And I also, in this
That's
discussion.
how we all ended up on this board.
Nope,
Yes.
not all. Not all. I just jumped right in. But I also suggested, like, once they get this information, recommendations. Like, give us your feedback,
right?
you know, and look, don't frown. Let's work together, you know, so that's kind of, but they don't have any idea where our minds are at.
Okay.
And that's what they're kind of looking for.
I think that
Please.
that conversation would actually fall more in line with your larger look at review and reestablishment of what the strategic financial priorities are. Because your board designated reserve is a very informal thing, but it's also the only level of reserve anything that this district has. I don't know that, I mean, you guys are the board, I follow the direction. I'm just saying I would look at this from a much bigger picture of fiscal sustainability and say, okay, we've amassed this, it is sitting in our general fund.
Let's
Don't-
spend it.
Well, exactly, Bill. You're exactly, that's kind of where I'm headed with this. I don't know that this was a wish list, knock out some project with this fund as much as it was, I do think this district is in a position where you need to start looking at, you should have some level of an emergency reserve. You should have some level of a capital reserve. You should have a rainy day fund. So when economies start to go down, when I say emergency reserve, to the
It meant
point,
two different
you-
things for
you-
both of us.
You have a landslide,
Right.
you have something you can pull from. As opposed to a rainy day fund, which says, okay, we need to pull from this to be able to balance our budget because the economy's in kind of down years. where we're not having the same level of revenue generation that we would have in the past, as opposed to a capital fund, which is used strictly to kind of plan for and fund future capital
Right.
projects.
And-
So I would just, my only 2 cents as you start to think about this going into the next meeting or two is looking at this from that 30,000 foot view of what does this district need to be able to maintain fiscal solvency and fiscal sustainability?
Mhm.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say is.
And that would be your legacy.
I was on the board when we started that, and it was because we didn't have rainy day funds, and if a landslide happened, we would have to borrow.
Correct,
And
but this
it-
is,
And then when COVID hit, like, we had already started putting away funds, so then when we had no idea what was going on with revenue, we had, so I love this idea, I would like to participate and, do the talking, but my view of what that fund is.
Right. Well, let's.
Or-
but that's not,
versus
you're
doing
going,
another-
wait, you're going too far in, we can't
Yeah.
discuss it. The
Okay.
point is the request is what does each board member see for themselves
Okay.
Right.
and moving forward?
Right.
And then the second part is the financial, yes, we have to see
Yeah.
from 30,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
if,
okay.
if I really wanna spend it, then that's my opinion.
Yeah, totally.
That's what you're looking for.
Okay.
So, but I don't wanna go too far into it.
Yeah, no.
Right.
It's not-
Because it hasn't been
it's not
listed.
agendized on it, yeah.
Correct.
It's a new agenda.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so
All right.
that's kind of where,
All right.
that's what I was waiting to
Yeah.
say in the PR,
Yeah.
so.
Sorry.
Well,
And okay, so I have one
So-
more, I'm just kidding.
all right, our next
Get
meeting
into
is
the
on
weeds.
September 8th, 2026. We are now adjourned
At-
at 3:07
thank you.
PM.
Thank you.
Awesome.